On the Edge. Welcome to On the Edge, a podcast about table tennis and, that little white ball that goes so fast. I'm Marie Migaud, a professional table tennis player, and I want to put the spotlight on the personalities involved in the sport and share the stories. Whether they are players, trainers, coaches, therapists, or even more, I'm letting their voices guide us through their careers, their difficulties, and their differences. Yes, I deeply believe that each of us has something unique to give. So get ready to open your ears wide and bon voyage!
Growing up with a parent like that, you learn to be very observant. You learn to observe everything around you and always sort of adapt the way you are to how people act around you. I started self-identifying with my work a lot. If things went well at work, I was okay. If things didn't go too well at work, I was, down in the hole.
You had no barriers?
No. Life and work was like one and the same.
He invited me to Denmark for a conference about my career, and now it is his turn to share his knowledge with us. I welcome Magnus Mallander. He is a Danish national coach. He talks about his mission and his dedication to helping players grow by focusing on who they are, but also about the challenging lifestyle of being a coach and the difficulties he's faced. We also delve into his plan to get more players into the sport and the art of sharing the experience with everyone. Someone described him as a person who thinks out of the box.
You're never done. You're never ready for life, but you can be better equipped to deal with life.
And if you want to help the podcast because you like it, don't hesitate to click on 5 stars to share it around you and support me on Tipeee. Hello, Magnus.
Hi, Marie.
Thank you to be here in Havijov this time.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And it was a lucky coincidence that we got one day where we could meet up.
Yeah, I was in France yesterday, going to Singapore tomorrow, so it's perfect timing. And I know you only since last November.
Yeah.
You asked me for a conference.
Exactly.
So now it's your turn.
Yeah, now it's my turn to be the speaker. You did very well last time, so I hope I could do equally well.
I'm not worried. So first question, who are you? How you would present yourself in few words?
Yeah, so my name is Magnus, or Magnus Mallander, if I were to pronounce my name in Swedish, which is my mother tongue, and I am Swedish. But right now I'm the coach of the Danish women's team and responsible for both the women's and the girls' side of the national team. And I work very closely with Linus Mansten, who's the coach of the men's team that just qualified for the Olympics, actually.
Yeah,
had an amazing run at the World Championships. So I started out in a club many years ago coaching. Actually, I was 14 years old when I started coaching. I had a very, very short career as a player. I was always better at analyzing than performing, you could say. And I started in a club in the south of Sweden, where I'm from. And then I worked in Halmstad, the Halmstad Table Tennis Club, where the World Championships was played in 2018.
You were 14?
14, yeah.
14?
When I started coaching, just like kids group, 2 times a week, and then...
But you were going to school before also, or you had like normal, basic school? Or?
Yeah. Okay. This was just on top of my normal school activities and everything else. So I just started helping out in my club. It wasn't a full-time job or anything. But then when I was 18, my last year in high school, our head coach stopped and there was a bit of a vacuum in the club. So I took over and became head coach of one of the bigger clubs as far as members are concerned. We were like 400.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's actually quite a big club.
And how is it to become so young coach? Like, do people respect you?
It depends. There are a lot of people who question what you know and whether you have the experience when you're young. And I think they're right to do so. I think they should question it. And I think I was a bit overconfident. Like, I really believed that I had something to bring to the table, as you would say. And I think that's a good thing to have when you're young, but then you also need people who can tell you what's what. Like, I was lucky that I had some older coaches in the club, and then I got to know Linus when I was around 19, 20, and a few others who've sort of helped me understand how little I know. Because when you are young and you start coaching, there is always that risk of overconfidence, that you believe that you know everything and it's easy. And well, now 15, 16 years later, I've understood that it's not easy at all.
What's your strength as a coach?
I think I'm quite good at sort of seeing the player as an individual, for who they are, strength, weakness, what they're like as a person, and sort of try and talk to them on their level.
Yeah. And how do you know that? How do you feel that?
I'm quite sensitive to people's moods and where they are in their thoughts and their behavior. I guess you could call it like almost something akin to empathy. I'm not sure I would use the word empathy specifically, but I don't want to make the story long or anything. But the way I grew up, I had a father who was actually he wasn't completely healthy. He had some mental issues throughout my childhood, and growing up with a parent like that, you learn to be very observant. You learn to observe everything around you and always sort of adapt the way you are to how people act around you. This can be bad for you as a person because you can sort of suppress or push away your own needs, but it's very good for learning to see other people and to put them first. And this is basically what you do as a coach.
So yeah, I mean, this experience helped you to be the coach you are today.
I think so. I never understood it when I was younger, but I think it helped a lot. And combine that with the fact that I'm quite eager to improve. I like to learn. I like to win. I was very bad at winning myself because the pressure and me, we weren't best friends. Not at all.
But you still feel the pressure when you are a coach.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure. But I never have to be, it's never me that has to perform.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It can be really tough at times as well. But I mean, the player wins the matches. Yeah. Coach is there to help. But it's always, the last end, it's the player.
So what would you say is your mission?
My mission and what drives me in my work is that I really, really enjoy watching the process of someone growing into something that maybe they didn't think that they could become, or developing into someone stronger, someone better than who they are right now. I've thought a lot about this, and I think it's the growth part. Okay. That triggers me, that sort of gets me inspired. Yeah. And well, elite sports it's good in that way because an elite athlete has to improve. It's sort of built into the very nature of being an athlete that if you don't improve, someone else will sort of take your spot or win against you or whatever. So you have to constantly try and improve and develop. And I think it's thrilling to watch that experience and to be a part of it.
Yeah. Did you have already one player, like you felt that this player improved because of you and because of your vision and way?
Well, it's a good question because I think it's tricky to say that they improved because of me. I think it's really hard. I mean, of course, I want to feel like I have an impact. If I feel like I don't need to be here, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not, then that won't motivate me. Then I could go do something else. But on the other hand, if I give someone a set of keys, they still have to open the door and walk through into the other room. Just the fact that I gave them the keys doesn't mean that I helped them go to this new room, this new area of their life or their career or whatever it may be. So, for example, I worked quite closely with Denmark's best female player of all time, Mia Skov, up towards the Olympics because she had this crazy idea of trying to qualify 12 months before when she heard on the news that it was postponed, and she called me and said, I have a really, really stupid idea. And she said, what do you think? She explained it all to me, and I said, I think it's very, very improbable, but I don't think it's impossible. And then we got going, and it was weird. You couldn't practice because it was Corona. There were very few competitions. It was hard to travel. You had to take these freaking tests all the time. But I felt like that was special because I worked very closely with her. It was very one-to-one, which was quite new for me. But she was very hell-bent on improving as a player by improving as a person.
Okay.
And
this you like, I guess.
I really liked this, and I liked it. She had a different attitude than I was used to, and this was also, I think she would attest to, that was different from how she was when she was younger. She's a mother now. She has a son, Benjamin. And
I know her. She was playing in Pro A before.
Yeah.
In Paris.
Many years ago.
Yeah, and I've seen her play because before I was young, you know.
Yeah.
I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And she was playing, and she had this beautiful game.
Very different game.
Yeah.
And this was exactly both the challenge, but also the charm, because I talked earlier about being able to see the player as an individual. Then I had to accept that a typical women's game, very backhand, lots of tempo close to the table. This was never the way Mia was going to play. But we knew she had to improve in this area. She had to be able to take some rallies close to the table, because otherwise she would just get killed by everyone who got her into that rhythm.
Yeah.
But I mean, her strength was a really good service and unbelievable timing in forehand. And just decent amount of feeling as well. Very good at playing the lobbing game and chopping and whatnot. So I was trying to find a way for her where we could use the fact that she was 33, 34 years old. She was never going to learn her game or relearn it from the start and become a backhand player. She was always going to have this instinct. But how can we build it into something that is still her, but is new and improved?
Yeah, you used her strength, actually. You didn't change her.
We had to start with the strength.
Yeah.
Because changing her, you can change aspects of a personality, but I think the instincts...
It's coming back all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think all coaches who have followed a player for a long time, you get the player in the hall and the first thing they want to do is kill the ball with the forehand. This is what they're going to do when they're 35 as well.
Yeah.
I think so, at least. I think the instincts never quite go away.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I was, when I was a kid, a creative player, you know, playing with the hand and nice serve. But then I left out of France and out of my knowledge, and people try to change me as well.
Yeah.
You know, but now today, if I see my game the last year, it didn't change much. Still, I use more my hand. I use a bit less power, and I feel better. You know?
Yeah, that's what I think that you feel a lot less stress.
Yes.
You feel less stress and you feel more comfortable in your own game, which I think is really important because a match is always uncomfortable.
And it's also linked with my personality.
Yeah.
You know? And
I think, I mean, let's take the best defenders. If you don't have the personality to be a defender, if you're someone who wants it has to be fast, furious, aggressive, and you play as a defender, then it doesn't matter how good your technique is. It doesn't matter how much patience you try and work or practice and improve. This is never going to be your instinct.
Yeah.
And exactly. I think both coaches and players, they have this ideal image of what a player should be like. Maybe they've watched someone when they were young. Maybe they had a player before, and they're very locked onto that image of a player. That is what a player should be.
And why you are not like that? Why are you thinking? Because I've seen many coaches, yes?
Yeah.
And most of them are not like that. Oh, from my experience. Okay, it was in the past also.
Honestly, I think it's because I was never good as a player. Because if you're a player at a high level, you become an expert. But you're not an expert, and I think this is where a lot of people make a mistake. They think you're an expert at table tennis, but you're an expert on your table tennis, the way I play.
Yeah.
Because you've spent, 20 years, 25 years. I mean, the top Swedish men's team, they were active up until 45. And there are so many examples like this, especially in Europe. You become an expert on your game. and you learn that this is the way that I want to play. And then I think it's very difficult to immediately go from being the expert on my game to being an expert on the game.
Yeah, I understand. On the last podcast was Danilo.
Yeah.
He was a genius, like table tennis genius, and he knows that. And he told me that when he became a coach, he had to switch because no one could do the thing he was doing.
No,
you know?
And you get frustrated.
Exactly. In the beginning, he got this feeling, but somehow he accepted it, and now he's really using the strength of everyone.
I think, in at least the way we work in Europe, and where the players have their own setups, and you can't control for their background and their history or whatever. So you have to work with what you have and what they're like. I mean, we aren't mass produced. I'm not a programmer. I was very bad at programming when I was at university.
I am too very bad.
I cannot write code to save my life. But I like to work with people, and people are dynamic. Like, you ask a person the same question before or after lunch, you get different answers. Because whether we've eaten, whether we've slept well, whether you've had an argument with your boyfriend or girlfriend, all of this is going to influence what your response is like. And this is what drives you insane as a coach. Because a good player will never do exactly what you want them to. Yeah. But surprisingly often they know a lot about what's good for them. Yeah. And in the other occasions, then that's where you're there to try and help. But I think it helped me that I never reached that level as a player, like not at all.
Okay.
So I had to learn about the game instead of learning about my game. Yeah. And then I didn't have that preconceived notion of table tennis being this way. You have to play forehand this way. You should serve short like this all the time. And that has also helped when we've had a lot of changes in the sport, like new balls, new material, the tables are changing. We haven't had rule changes for as long as I've been active. It's been first to 11 and everything, but I think that helps you to be on your toes and adapt to.
Yeah. You speak about new table tennis, so what do you think about European table tennis now, the young ones, the youth generation?
I must say I think it's very exciting. Every year I'm surprised when I'm at the European Youth Championships at the professionalism of the best ones. I'm very impressed by the work done in countries like Romania, Poland, also France. I mean, the French output on the youth side is extraordinary. And now we're here in Czech Republic, and they have this young girl, Kodetova, who is very impressive.
Working a lot. Extremely a lot.
Yes. She's the first one to enter the hall, and she's the last one to leave every time. And very physically strong. And you can see that the strongest countries, they work a lot with the players, not only in the table tennis hall. There is a lot of physical action. They have a lot of experts. The biggest countries, they have physios, masseurs, just a whole different setup than the rest. And if you look at the boys and the girls for that sake, from Romania, for example. Poland is coming very, very strongly now as well. I'm impressed by the professionalism, and you can see that it's sort of creeping down in the age groups. I mean, of course, you have Felix is extreme, Felix Lebrun. This level at this age is phenomenal, exceptional. Yeah. But he's part of a year group where there are so many strong players. Like the 06 is Miłosz Redzimski from Poland. You have Julian Chirita from Romania, just to mention like the two of the strongest ones behind Felix. It's going to be very interesting to follow in the coming years. Yeah. Because I feel like these are players who are bringing something new to the game, bringing a different level of aggressiveness and confidence as well.
Yeah. They look confident, it's true.
They look very confident. True. And I think this is important, because if you're going to break like the wall of China, you have to really believe in your heart of hearts that this is something you can do.
Now if I see the Lebrun, they really believe, you know.
Alexei now against Fan Zhendong at the World Championships, what impressed me was the body language. Like, he was really like showing that I'm here to win and I am not afraid of you. And then, I mean, unbelievable effort from Fan Zhendong to save this match point and then come back so strong in the fifth. But I mean, what a game.
It was amazing match. Oh my god. Yeah. We can come back now to the Danish level. Yep. You often told me that you don't have many young players coming up.
Yeah.
So what do you do to prevent it? Because I know you have many things, like you are doing so many things. And I think it's nice to speak about it because many federations can get inspired from it too.
Yeah, well, like you said, we have a pretty bad history with dropouts. When players reach a certain age, for us, it very much coincides with when they've played their last European Youth Championships. That's when we see a big dropout of players and talent.
So 17, 18,
17,
19?
18, now 19, because they've raced a year for participation in the Europeans 1 year. But yeah, around there, we've lost a lot of players. Also before I started. I started in Denmark 4 years ago. It wasn't fun reading to watch all the players, because not only players, but like I said, talent as well. We don't lack talent in Denmark, but we lack maybe a structure and a clear strategy, which is what we're trying to amend and improve on now. So, I mean, the biggest single initiative that we have are probably the career days, which is how I got into contact with you and why I flew you into Denmark to talk about your career and your path, because I think that a lot of players, they're very focused on the national team. They're very focused on championships and the national team, and they go kind of blind from staring at that, because the road to doing what the men's team, the Danish men's team did now, it is very long. It is a very, very long road. And you don't get to where they are unless you have, well, you need talent, hard work, all of that, but you need to also be able to just do this year in, year out and do the grind.
And it's tough.
It is very, very tough. And if you're 19 years old, you've played your last European Youth Championships, and you see that, oh, I have to be better than Jonathan Groth or Anders Lind in order to secure a spot on the men's team, then that is kind of tough. If you reach the round of 32 at the European Youths, that is a long way. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to inform and guide our players on when it comes to a career. What is a career in table tennis? What would it look like? What are the differences between women and men? What are the opportunities? What has worked historically for Danish players?
You have many left-handers.
We have many left-handers, so being left-handed helps. Being left-handed helps. But then that also causes a sparring problem, because when we're out in tournaments and everyone in the team is left-handed, you need right-handed sparring. True. And for the Olympics now, it's also you play with doubles in the team competition. So we're trying to get right-handers as well. But if they play left or right hand, doesn't matter that much. But what we could see from history is that the best Danish players, they moved abroad. At a fairly young age, most of them went to Germany. And they were in a German training environment. They played in the league there. And I think actually the training environment is extremely important, of course. But the league is equally important, because in order to do this year in, year out, you need to be in a league where you can improve. You're challenged every match. And if you improve, there are better opportunities ahead of you. Like if you start in the 3rd Bundesliga or in the Regionalliga, the 4th league, and you work your way up, then that means that there's always an incentive to improve. You get a better salary, you get a better contract, and the world sort of opens itself up to you. And I mean, you need money to buy food to put on your plate, to pay rent and everything. And this is what we're trying to tell them, that it is possible, it can be done. But if you want this, then you have to prepare for a life where you move away from Denmark eventually, when your level is sufficient and maybe you've saved up enough funds or whatever, because unfortunately we can't support them financially very much. So we're trying to give them the information and trying to help them make good decisions. And
for girls and boys, right?
For girls and boys. Yeah. And we've done some career days. We've had 6 of them in total. And some of them have been joint, both boys and girls, and some have been separate. We had one for girls where Linda Bergström from Sweden came and talked about her career, which I think is a very interesting career path. She's been very careful with her decisions. You could tell when she told her story. And a consequence of that is that we have one player who lived 1 year in Germany and tried that out, and one is living in Germany right now, and another player is hopefully going to move and find a good training environment abroad
because
next season.
Yeah, it's actually hard to make a decision, to be enough mature.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell to the kids, yeah, you have to go there to improve, but is it the right decision?
For sure.
Yeah, it's hard.
For sure, and that's why these career days, they aren't player exclusive. We've actually always, the first time around we did it, we made it mandatory for parents and coaches to join. And if you wanted to be on the national team or have a chance to get on the national team, you had to participate with a parent or a coach, because we felt this is a whole life decision. It's not just table tennis. It affects everything. And as a parent, you should know, and you should get the info so that you can support and help your kid. And I mean, the players we have who have moved abroad or tried a year abroad, without the help of their parents, they would have no chance.
Yeah.
So the parents
tough.
are
the parent
so
has
important.
To know, yeah, the parents have to know where they put their kids, and it's so important. I was thrown away, kind of alone, and my parents were here, but they were far, and this, I think I regret that part. So
yeah, and I understand that, and I mean, it is difficult to navigate in as a parent as well. So what we actually did last time around, this was only a couple of weeks ago, we had a career day exclusively for parents.
That's cool.
And this is, as far as I know, the first time that's ever been done, where you gather parents of like elite or aspiring elite athletes, young ones, and let them talk to each other. And we actually did it in cooperation with the Danish Judo Association and the Danish Badminton Association. So we had parents,
other sports.
Yeah, so we had parents from other sports, and they could contribute with their perspectives. Like judo has even like less money, and it's very hard to make it as a professional in judo. In badminton, they have a very strong tradition in Denmark and a very strong culture.
He's Olympic champion.
Oh yeah, Olympic champions.
World champion, I think.
Yeah, he's Axelsen. Yeah, he's everything. And now they had a men's doubles that got to the World Championship finals as well. So their tradition is incredibly strong, and they're a very strong internal culture. But it was interesting to have parents from different sports, and they could talk to each other. And actually, the mother of Jonathan Groth, Helle Groth, she was there and talked about what it's been like for her to be Jonathan's mother. And she raised him not entirely by herself, but Jonathan's father died when he was quite young. So it was a really interesting perspective. And she's a psychologist as well, a professional psychologist. So I could tell that the parents were very happy to hear her side of the story and not just the player's side.
Yeah, you are opening for everyone actually, and you want to hear and listen to the stories of other people from other sport, from other perspective, and this is cool to open the minds, because sometimes I think in France we are very close and we are scared to share, and I never had
a story
like that. I don't know if you see like the oldest champions. I never had the opportunity to speak to them. You know, they never explained their way. At least I never got the chance to hear that. But we don't share often, and I think it's a lack of, I don't know what, but yeah, it's important, because I was a kid when I left, but I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, I think that is a strength of what I could call the Danish model, or what they're trying to do in Denmark. I mean, it is a small country geographically, but there's an upside to that, which is that it's easy to get everyone in the same room.
Yeah.
Get them to talk to each other. And right now, the Team Denmark, which is the like active part of the Danish Olympic, not committee, but it's they're the ones who help the athletes and provide all kinds of services, like physiological
also
training.
For the school, right?
Yeah, that is also
because,
for...
how to study where you have a career. This is also a question.
Exactly, and they do a lot with dual career consulting, and it's a very, very interesting and strong organization. Now they've just launched a mentorship program where they bring in athletes from one sport, old athletes who are on their way out, maybe they've just retired, and they pair them up with a mentee, like a young athlete aspiring, and they're consistently from different sports. So they're not from the same discipline. And they have regular like talks and facilitate both like more controlled settings where the mentor and the mentee meet up, but also ensure that there's just like an ongoing communication between the two to help them guide these young athletes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I think so, and I think they're onto something there.
Yeah. As a coach, you are working a lot, right? Your schedule is extremely busy. And you speak about guidance for players, but maybe the coaches also need some guidance, right?
Yeah.
And some help, I don't know, but you and Linus in Denmark?
Yeah, so we're the ones who are full-time.
Yeah, what does it mean full-time?
Well, full-time means that there's a piece of paper that says you work this and this many hours a week, but that's on the paper. Reality can be different. Some weeks are more slow, and I have my boss, our general secretary, is understanding that you have to be a bit flexible, but some weeks like this week and the week before are a lot longer than the 37 hours or 40 hours or whatever.
But also about the organization, you are involved in many different small things.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, you have also family, or you have other life than table tennis. And how do you combine this personal life with pro life? And I think it's hard in our days for a coach. I mean, I would like to become a coach, yes, but if I'm becoming a coach, then I will not have time also for me and for my family, and I would travel all the time. I like to travel, but
But traveling as a coach isn't traveling.
Exactly.
You go to an airport, then you go into a shuttle bus, you arrive at a hotel, and then you go to a hall, which is nice. The hall we're in now is great, and the living conditions here in Havitsjov are superb, but it's not traveling. It's work.
Yeah.
It is work. It is challenging. My girlfriend is very understanding, which is, I'm just a lucky guy in that aspect, I guess, because it involves a lot of planning, making ends meet. She has my 6-month schedule up on her, up on a cupboard.
Yeah.
Close to the kitchen, where she can see like what's going to happen this weekend. Oh, now you're okay, so you're here, and then you're going to be 4 days here, right? And we have to plan according to that. Just the other day we were trying to arrange something along with her parents, and we just couldn't work it out. It's like, no, what about Saturday evening to Sunday? No, I'll probably have to be here. And she is very understanding. Right now it's just the two of us, and that helps. I mean, if you're in a situation where you have a family and children and everything, and you have to travel a lot, which you do if you work at national team level and you want to compete internationally.
And you are passionate. You really love it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I must do. Like, it's hard to do this otherwise. So I'm passionate about doing my job well. And I try to the best of my ability, but achieving a balance is tricky sometimes. For me, the key has always been planning, to make sure that when I look at my schedule for the next 6 months, are there breathing holes? Like if I have my April-May period is very intense now, for example. What does June look like? Okay, there are some possibilities to take a break there, to take a few days off. Then I'm going to have to do that. Even though we have an upcoming European Youth Championships, for my own sustainability, to be sustainable and healthy and do my job well, I have to do this. And on a personal level, I really, really need to take care of myself and my body. I have to work out, I have to make sure I get sleep.
Did you already feel like it was becoming dangerous for your health?
For sure.
How
for
dangerous?
Sure. There were a confluence of things when I was younger, when I worked in Halmstad, my first full-time job as a coach, and I was responsible for the youth section there. And I had some pressure to recruit because I was hired with the aid of the Swedish Federation, because we had like a recruitment project to get, I think it was 250 new members in a year. And we reached that goal in 9 months, actually. So we got, I think we ended up around 320 new members in the club. And that was intense. It was a lot of visiting schools. It was a lot of working both morning and evening, and being out on weekends for competitions, league matches, whatever. So yeah, that was quite intense. And then one of my best friends passed away. I had I'd actually experienced that one time before. A friend from high school who passed away just after we left when I was 19 years old. Yeah, I was 19 years old when he passed away. And then this was one of my best friends, who I hadn't seen that much because I moved away from where I grew up. I moved to Halmstad. And it was like lightning on from a clear blue sky. I did not expect that at all. But he passed away. And that's when I realized that this isn't right. This isn't good. I've lost contact with a lot of old friends. I haven't made that many new friends because I'm working a lot, and I started self-identifying with my work a lot. If things went well at work, I was okay. If things didn't go too well at work, I was, down in the hole.
You had no barriers?
No. Life and work was like one and the same. And when my friend passed away, it took 2 months. I had 2 months where I worked basically every day. I had like a 60-day period where I worked every day. And I think that was my coping mechanism to sort of shut the rest of life out and what had happened. And then I realized that this won't do. So I went to school. I moved to Gothenburg. I studied. I got my bachelor's degree in cognitive science because I'm very interested in the mind and human cognition in general. And that was the right decision. And I'm very happy with myself that I sort of saw myself beginning to go like over the edge.
Yeah.
Speaking of your title.
On the edge.
Yeah, I was about to go over the edge, but I sort of caught myself in that before it happened. And I learned a lot from it. Sometimes I think you have to push that boundary to learn where it is.
Yeah. But did you get external help or you just help yourself
alone? At that point, I tried helping myself. You're young and overconfident. You think that you can do everything on your own. So no, at that point, I didn't recruit anyone external. I never saw a psychologist or anything. I dealt with it, and I think moving away and changing my environment and meeting new people where I studied and also reconnecting with some of my old friends, that was important.
Yeah. What did your study brought you?
A huge insight into both the mental aspect, but also the way the mental and the physical and everything is interconnected. Because cognitive science is the study of the brain and neural processes and decision making, everything that makes human behavior and thinking exceptional and different. So I learned a lot about what goes into trying to perform, trying to improve, trying to learn something. I was very interested in neurology. And when you dive down into what goes on in the brain, where you have 86 billion synapses and I think it's around 3 trillion connections, brain cells. We have 86 billion brain cells, and then the synapses, the connections between are up around 3 trillion.
Now I know it.
Yes, now you know.
Now we know.
Now we know, exactly. And I mean, you're amazed when you learn what goes on in the brain. The fact that me snapping my fingers like this is an electrical impulse going from my brain out to my fingers, which makes them contract and do this. And then the fact that I can feel that this happened, that's sensory feedback, and that's an electrical signal going back from my efferent nerves, the nerves that go out into my finger, and back to my brain. And that happens at lightning speed all the time in everything we do. And that goes a long way to explaining pain, emotions, how they are interconnected, why sometimes you can see a player. Take Toby Rasmussen, for example, now at the World Championships. He got a back injury in the most important match of his career, or one of the most important matches of his career. And still he managed to play. And what I find so interesting is that if you go back and you watch WTT put out a clip of when Toby wins and they storm him, the players, they rush over the barriers. And you can see that Toby, he plays this point, he moves quite normally. And then as soon as the ball hits the table and then it goes out, you can see him reaching for his back. As soon as he goes down on the floor, his back hurts, and then he's asking for help to get up because it's hurting so bad. When it's happening, you have all of these things going on. Your stress system is working at like maximum capacity. It's just pushing out cortisol and other stress hormones. And being physically active is a sort of natural painkiller as well. And you can see this process live in this, because, I mean, he is in pain, no doubt, but he manages to push through as long as the match is ongoing. But as soon as it's over, and I think many coaches can attest to being at a competition or whatever, and as soon as the competition is over, you get a cold.
Yeah.
Your body just shuts down.
Yeah.
And it keeps you there until you don't have to, until it's all over. And then the body just goes, okay, screw it.
Yeah.
It's time for you to lie down and not do anything.
It's clever.
Yeah, but
it's clever, but it keeps you like up for a long time, and it's
clever
to put you down.
And then your brain and your immune system, they're all working together, and it knows that right now you should not move. And what is a good way to get you not to move? Pain or sickness. Yeah. Because then you just lie down. That's a very good way of forcing recovery.
It would be nice to recover before that.
It would be.
Know how to have the balance between hard work and everything, and also rest.
Yeah, and this is also one thing I learned, is that no one, like, evolution didn't have a planner. So our bodies weren't built to deal with psychological stress, like being stressed about an exam at school or an upcoming match. This was never built into the way most animals are. They're stressed, like a zebra is stressed if a lion is chasing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's very calm. But it goes between maximum levels of stress and nothing at all. And we know from experience that humans can go through that as well. Like periods of extreme trials and tribulations, wars or whatever. The PTSD comes from prolonged exposure to war and like the circumstances of war. Yeah. But like one fateful incident, or not fateful incident, but one cause of massive stress for a short period of time, most people recover fine from that. It's the prolonged exposure and the fact that we can create stress from nothing.
Yes.
You can get stress just from thinking.
Yes.
You very rarely see a zebra imagine, what if there's a lion out there? And then it runs away and has a massive stress response, and then it gets like an ulcer or, you know, like the stomach thing.
Everything is coming. I was living in anxiety for 2 years, couldn't sleep also.
Yeah.
And I didn't have peak of stress, but I was all the time in this nervosity. Yeah. You know, that kept me far from like relaxation.
Yeah. And eventually your body just shuts down.
And then I burned.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Like you put it on the slow cooker for a long time.
I think it's so important to have this balance, but when you start your career, no one will tell you that, or no one told me that.
No.
I was going non-stop because I had to go non-stop.
Yeah.
But then
you really went non-stop.
Then you realize, but it's too late. So please take care of you.
yes, absolutely, I will. And I'm lucky because I have my girlfriend and she's looking out for me, and I have great support from my mother and my sister and friends and everything. So.
But actually, this chapter that your friend passed away brought you also to this school, right? You took a time for it. Yeah. And this school, I think, helped you for today to be a coach. For sure. So also these chapters are, for me, interconnected, I
mean, yes, of course. I think the only thing we can do is to try and learn. I mean, this is fundamental for me. I think when we talk practice, I feel like a lot of both players and coaches forget the learning aspect of it. Because I would really like a time machine so that I could try and prevent my friend from doing what he did to himself. I don't have that. So what I can do is to try and learn, and of course remember him and honor his memory and everything. But that's all I can do. I can learn from it and move on. And every person alive is gonna go through some shit. Pardon my French, as they say. But you're gonna go through tough times, and life isn't gonna be fantastic all the time, but you're going to learn from it. And this will make, it's a cliche, but it will make you stronger. And it will make you better equipped to deal with life.
Better equipped, I like it more.
Yeah, and this is actually what a therapist told me, is that like you're never done. You're never ready for life, but you can be better equipped to deal with life. Yeah. And this one I like. This is what I'm trying to do with the players as well, because if they go full gas, only table tennis, and everything is contingent upon them doing well, then they really have to do well. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. So I encourage them, and this is what we do with the career days. Make sure that you have an idea of what your career can be like and what you're going to do if you get an injury. If you move away abroad, can you study online courses or whatever in the meantime? Make sure that maybe you have a part-time job if it's difficult to get the money to make it all sort of, hang together.
Yeah.
Try and think of this, and I think this is where parents and coaches have a big responsibility, because thinking of everything when you're 18, that is a tall order. It is impossible. Very difficult to be that smart when you're 18.
Impossible.
It is, but that's where your responsibility as a coach.
Even you are so smart at 18, it's impossible.
But the smartest ones tend to think that they can do anything, so they sometimes make the dumbest decisions. That's basically what I did when I started coaching full-time. I moved to a town where I knew no one. I didn't think that I needed friends. I didn't take care of the friends, of the relationships I had with friends from high school or whatever. I just went full bomba.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out too well for me. And if I didn't stop when I did, I think I would be gone from table tennis completely.
That's a strong story.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for letting me share.
In Europe, do we miss coaches? Do we have enough coach?
In the Nordic countries, we definitely lack coaches.
Yeah. And which advice you would give them? If they want to try and to start coaching for anyone.
I would say take responsibility. This is a big one. And put the athlete first, or the athletes, the players. Make sure that it's about them. As a coach, I think you have to accept that you're giving a bit more than you're receiving. You have to accept this as a basic premise. But if this is what drives you, this is what drives teachers, good teachers and whatever, it's that they give a bit more to their students, then they might get back. Or maybe the student returns after 20 years and says, thank you, you were a meaningful person. So you have to accept this and be willing to take responsibility when things are going well, but especially when they're not going so well, and sort of stand behind your players.
Okay.
And then I think if you want to make it professional, start in your club. Start by trying to build yourself up as a coach in the club environment. I feel like a lot of coaches, they start staring at national team very early on. This is the end goal. But if you like being around people, the players, if you like being there with them at competitions and for matches, practices, then national team isn't necessarily where you want to go. Because a lot of my work is done in front of a computer. I don't spend half my time in a training hall. In one way, I'd wish I did that, but that's not the nature of my job. My job is as much organizing and coordinating my players and helping them get to where they want. But if you like that daily contact with the players, then start in the club. That's how I started, and the best coaches that I know, they've started there. And they haven't looked at it as like a stepping stone. Oh, if I just do this well for a year or two, then I'll go on to something better. They've genuinely wanted to help the club and the players in the club where they've been.
Yeah.
And if you do a good job there, people will notice. For sure.
Last question. You don't know this one.
Okay. Exciting.
Which mistake you will never do again?
Oh, wow. So many to choose from.
One.
Yeah, but... Oh,
you can. No,
you've done this for a long time. You make a lot of mistakes.
You can pick, let's say 2 or 3.
Yeah, but I'm
but
just...
one that is coming this one.
No, but the obvious one is, and we've already talked about it, is when I was in Halmstad. It's to identify too strongly with your job.
Okay.
This is my biggest fight.
And this is not only in table tennis.
No. This goes for everything in life. If you identify with your results in school, at work, when you're competing or whatever, if this is what makes you feel that you're worth something, I think that is a dangerous road to go down, for sure. So this is probably my biggest single mistake.
It's not a mistake, but it's something you learn from it, and you will never do it again, because you know that I don't want to go there anymore.
Yeah.
And as a coach to a player, or
it's having my drive and ambition take the front row seat instead of the players, because sometimes, and I think all high-level coaches have experienced at one point or another, that they want something more than their player. And it's a long story, but this is sort of where the idea for the career days came from, because we had a couple of young players who were quite promising and very talented, and I sort of that made me blind as to what they actually wanted, because I saw potential and thought, here we have something that we can really, like, wow, we can build on this, and this can become something truly great. And in thinking so, I sort of forgot that, well, maybe I'm driving the car, but they have to be in the seat next to me, and they have to tell me, we're going here and I want to be there at this time. Because if I just say, sit down, close your eyes, and I'm driving, then I might lose them. Maybe they don't want what I want. And that is, I think as a coach, that's one of the biggest mistakes you can do. Yeah. Is to mistake your own drive and ambition for what the player wants.
Yeah, totally agree. Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marie.
Thank you
this
very
was
much.
Very nice and very different. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, you liked it?
Yeah.
Yes?
It was great.
Okay, cool. I hope this will serve for other people and coaches and players, and yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like this episode and want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. You can also follow my Instagram page, On the Edge Table Tennis. See you soon!